for joining us this afternoon. It's a real pleasure to be able to speak to you like this and to give you a bit of an update, as well as to give you some good news and maybe great news as well in relation to the reopening and restart of the tourism industry in Jamaica. Before I get into that, I just wanted to also take the time to personally and as well on behalf of the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Edmund Bartlett, whom so many of you know, wanted to say a great thank you for all the years of great service that you've given to Jamaica. But more importantly, I also wanted to wish and hope that that you all have been safe and have been spared any illnesses due to COVID-19 over the last several weeks, and to wish you continued strength and pace, and so that we can continue to do what we love to do, which is to let this business of travel and tourism thrive. As we ourselves have been in a state of lockdown, certainly our borders have been closed since March 19, and travel has really been sparse into the country, particularly or specifically only in the last 2 or 3 weeks. We have been managing limited entry for returning Jamaicans who were trapped overseas during COVID-19. As we have evolved through this period, we have also done a tremendous amount of work developing new protocols for the destination as we begin to see a way forward in terms of reopening A, the industry, but more importantly, B, restarting the Jamaican economy, and putting our tourism workers and the rest of our the workers of the population back to work. So travel and tourism obviously is a big part of the dependence of the Jamaican economy, and we are and have been working with a number of key partners and stakeholders to put the right protocols in place to allow us to feel confident that we can provide a safe, secure, and seamless return of business to Jamaica, and obviously to our partners like yourselves who work with us day in, day out. Our protocols have been developed on a number. If you're seeing your screen, you should begin to see the presentation. But our protocols are developed around 6 broad sectors of the industry: accommodation, attractions, transportation, shopping, social activities, and our cruise ship ports. And in each of those protocols are a clear understanding. We have taken on board a tremendous amount of consultation and collaboration with a tremendous amount of parties and participants locally, as well as we've looked at over 20 countries worldwide that we consider to be benchmarkable. And we have patterned our protocols working with an independent partner from PricewaterhouseCoopers to ensure that we develop a set of rules and guidelines through which we can reopen our industry that are world-class and of world standards. And so we hope that as you have a chance to view these protocols, you will hopefully appreciate the level of detail and rigor that we have put them through, and that we have gone the extra mile to ensure that we detail them in such a way that they are easy to follow, easy to understand, and easy to advise, to be able to advise your clients as to how to use them and what to expect in Jamaica as they travel. These protocols, of course, were built on 8, I call it 9, but really 8 pillars. First of which would be the business of sanitization. Obviously, this is what many people around the world call a soap and water virus. Meaning, of course, it's not a simple virus, but it easily can be controlled if we manage our hygienes properly, particularly our hands. And so sanitization has been a big part of the protocols. As you look through them, you'll see it speaks a lot about the level of rigor that each sector of the industry will be required to place on sanitization right across those sectors, whether it's accommodation or attraction or transportation, etc. Face masks and personal protective equipment is another massive part of the focus that we've placed on that. So both workers and visitors alike will be required to wear face masks in public spaces within the destination. Social, or rather physical distancing guidelines will be is included for both workers and visitors, so that we are enabled to ensure that we manage the distance required to be safe and to ensure that we can control the spread of the virus. One of the big focus obviously is communication. We say clear, frequent, and consistent messaging right across the industry, and that has a lot to do with ensuring that all of our partners are signing their businesses as well as activities properly, so that as our visitors traverse the different areas of the destination, when we're fully opened, obviously, they will be able to be guided properly in terms of what to do, when to do it, how to do it, and how to get information and how to get assistance. Technology enablement is an area that we feel was very important as well to be focused on, as we assist a lot of our sector partners or industry partners to institute methods for things like cashless transaction, allowing for online transaction and online business dealings. Really putting the power of technology to work in an environment where you want to be touching less of other people's surfaces than you want to than you would have before. Real-time reporting. We as we in a phased way continue to reopen Jamaica as a destination to travelers, we want to make sure that we have in place the right kind of technology. You'll see shortly when you meet Deshant from Amber Group, the level of detail that we have gone into to ensure that if you're coming to Jamaica, that we are able to engage you long before you check into your flight to come to Jamaica. But more importantly, that we are able to, if necessary, track you while you're in the destination and keep you up to date if you require information, or if something happens to you by way of COVID, enable us to be able to provide you with information and enable you to be able to be part of the whole tracking process to protect yourself and loved ones. Obviously, monitoring and response, that's an area that is still in progress. We are in discussions with a number of insurance companies as well as logistics and transportation companies to provide services and products that will enable visitors who come on island to who may get ill or may contract the virus to be able to be monitored, but more importantly to be able to have response, and if necessary, and they need to be air transported out in an emergency, we want to be able to, and we're continuing to negotiate with providers of services like those to be able to provide that kind of assurance to visitors to Jamaica. And then probably one of the most, if not the most important thing, is training. We have training has long been a huge part of our destination experience. The way we train our workers, the way we train our the people who interact with every visitor who comes in this island is extremely important to us. My sister agency, the Tourism Product Development Company, TPDCO, has been, as we speak this week, already trained over 20,000 tourism workers to go back to work starting next week. And they're continuing that process until we have touched every last tourism worker in terms of training them, not just on the protocols, but also how we continue to enhance and create a better experience for every visitor to Jamaica. And of course, the last one, and probably the most important one, is where we talk about the heart and soul of Jamaica, and that must come through the primary differentiator, which is personal responsibility. We ask that every person that comes to Jamaica and every person that works in the tourism industry understand that each and every one has a personal responsibility to ensure their own safety and to ensure that we don't cause any spread of the virus. And so we've made the necessary adjustments to how we will operate the destination, certainly in the short term as we reopen in a phased way. The protocols are designed and structured to be easily followed. On the screen, I've just taken out a small a portion of what the protocols look like, but essentially the protocols are it's built in chapters and verses, so each subject area will have a chapter and verse, a very detailed chapter and verse on all aspects of that area. So for example, you're looking at hotels, so it will include things like the scope, the responsibility, the supplies, general protocols, specific protocols, and practical examples. We've also included in it, if you don't have it yet, when you get it, you'll see it, what to do if. So it kind of provides a working guideline for both the people who operate the entities, as well as we want you to be able to understand, as sellers of travel, what is expected of the workers within the industry and what they're prepared to deliver to your clients on an ongoing basis every time they're in Jamaica. The protocols obviously takes us through a journey from arrivals to the protocols are designed in a chronological order and anchored around the tourist life cycle from arrival to departure. So you'll see, this is just a snapshot of kind of the phases that you almost are expected to have a touch point with, and how the protocols are the things that the protocols will cover along that journey. So from arrival, disembarkment, arrival, check-in, escort to your room. But even at the arrival stage, we have gone further to include a pre-travel authorization, which I will talk about a little bit more later on. But from your arrival to your rooms, the amenities, the housekeeping, fun and the sun in terms of all the things you can do within the hotel, food and drink, all other areas, including fitness, daycare, common areas, medical. The hotels have been required to provide an isolation room if somebody develops symptoms of COVID-19, and medical examination, and if that needs to be escalated to bringing any public health official to assist. That is also included in the protocols. And then in terms of departure, how that is managed within the protocol to ensure that that persons who have to be in contact with our visitors are properly trained and understand what things they are to be guided by. This slide really is what we call a journey map as to what every visitor should expect or should expect to do along what we call a very simple six steps to having a great experience in Jamaica. So it starts from planning your trip, where one of the first things your clients will be required to do after booking their trip is to get their pre-authorization for landing in Jamaica. which has to be done via visitjamaica.com, which is the platform that Mr. Sabadia will take you through as soon as he joins us. But that will allow you to have, or allow your clients rather, to have a set of pre-screening questions asked of them, which they have to respond to. They will complete that. They will also complete their mandatory immigration and customs landing form, and they'll make a submission to the Jamaican authorities, and they'll get a instant response whether their application has been approved or disapproved for any reason. Then obviously once they have that, that will be required for them to take with them to the airport for checking in, whether they're taking it electronically or taking it as a printed copy. And we will take you through that process, because I know a lot of you, you know, are very protective of your traveling clients, and you may be required to assist them with completing some of those forms. So we want to make sure that you're also pretty much acquainted with it and understand and can provide guidance and advice, which we would consider to be absolutely invaluable to continue that relationship between ourselves, yourselves, and obviously your traveling clients. And then obviously traveling to Jamaica, you know, we want to remind our guests or travelers to make sure that they wear the proper protective gear, wear your face mask, continue to wash your hands and maintain proper hygiene, maintain proper physical distancing while you're at the airport, while you're on the plane, etc., etc. When you arrive in Jamaica, you will be required, or your visitors or your clients rather, will be required to submit themselves to a COVID-19 PCR test at the airport. This will happen as they come through the airport, go through immigration, customs, and if you're coming through Montego Bay, the testing will happen after the customs experience. If you're coming through Norman Manley in Kingston, the testing will happen before you go through immigration. So that's just a slight variation there for you, and that is just based on the logistics and layout of the actual airport plant. Obviously, we want everybody to arrive and enjoy all that there is to do in Jamaica, and of course, some of our partners or hotel partners are making are still making some changes to make their own processes even more efficient. I have seen as far as persons with some hotels are putting in protocols that will allow for some guests to even pre-check in, so that when you come in, you won't even have to go to a front desk to check in. You would have already been pre-checked in, and your keys and stuff would be ready for you at the front when you get in. There are hotels that are that have gone through a tremendous amount of effort to do things like deep cleaning their rooms and putting a seal on the door so that nobody would have entered that room after the cleaners have left it until you take it. It is that kind of rigor and detail that the protocols, not just ours, but also that of our partners, have engaged in. And then obviously we always sad to see our visitors leave, but we always welcome them to come back when next they travel. So that's in terms of our communication strategy around our protocols. We've taken a kind of 5-point look at it. We focus on our local citizenry to make sure that everyone in Jamaica understands A, the importance of our tourism industry, but more importantly, B, how we are making sure that everything we do provides a level of assurance of safety for them as well as for every visitor who comes to the country. Then we want to make sure that our worker safety and training is critical, and so that has been our journey over the last 7 days to bring all the workers of the industry together to make sure that A, that they understand the protocols, but more importantly, B, that they are trained in how to execute them. And then obviously our next most important experience is our tourists or our visitors. And we need to make sure that they feel that they will be safe coming to Jamaica, that they will also need to understand the protocols before they travel, which is why we wanted to bring you guys up to speed and make sure that you understand that, because you own that relationship obviously with them. And then our international marketing must be aware of that Jamaica is open for tourism in a safe and controlled manner. And of course, the destination continues to be the choice of a tremendous amount of your clients from wherever you are. So that's kind of the short version of how our protocols have been developed, how they have evolved, what is our focus in terms of strategically rolling them out, and obviously to ensure that we have a full process of engagement. We will continue to provide more information on these protocols. They are actually available and listed on jtbonline.org, where you can go to download a full copy of these protocols. So feel free to do so. And of course, what I will do is to stop talking for a minute and give you a break from my voice and allow for our partner Deshant to join us. But I don't know if Alana, do you want me to go straight into introducing Deshant, or you want to break for questions here and come back?
If we can break for some questions, that would be great. Thank you so much, Director.
Alana?
Yes, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Director? Yes? No? Maybe?
Okay.
Yes? Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, great. So yes, we do have some questions.
Yes, I can.
We have some questions for you. So first,
yes,
that you mentioned where they can find the information, and they can find that at jtbonline.org. And the first question that most agents have is about quarantine. When exactly is someone quarantined? Give us an example of when someone would be quarantined.
Okay. So first of all, I realize there's a delay in the system. So I hope that everything I said earlier has been fully transmitted across. As it relates to quarantining, first of all, like I said before, all visitors coming into Jamaica as of the 15th of June until the 30th of June will be tested on arrival at the airport. And the testing method is the PCR testing, which is the nasal swab. From the airport, they will be, they'll be transported to their hotel, where they will stay in place, their hotel, until the test results are known. The test results are estimated to be available within 24 hours. If they go beyond 24 hours, they'll be within 48 hours. If someone is tested positive, that person will be notified by the health authorities, as well as the hotel that they're staying will also be notified. They'll be asked to isolate first at the hotel that they're staying, as the hotel will have isolation rooms. They will be examined if they're having symptoms by more than likely the hotel medical staff. And if they are having symptoms, and then the health authorities will take over. But also, once they have been isolated and the communication between the hotel and the health authorities has happened, they will then be asked to be quarantined in a government-provided quarantine and/or isolation facility.
Okay.
For 14 days.
So within that 24-hour period, what is a visitor expected to do, and where is that visitor expected to be within that 24 hours of waiting? Are they confined to their hotel, their room?
On the property of the hotel that they are reserved to stay at.
Okay. And the cost of the COVID testing, is that a cost assumed by the Jamaica government or the airline or the visitor?
The cost of testing for the period of the order. Let me just say before I respond to that Jamaica continues to be operating under what is called a disaster management order or disaster management act, and therefore orders are issued by and reviewed by the Prime Minister and the Cabinet of the country every 14 days. And so for the next 14 days, from the 15th to the 30th, or next 15 days, all tests will be administered by the Ministry of Health of Jamaica at their cost, at the government of Jamaica cost. But if the guest is tested positive, then the cost of quarantining will be the cost will be their own cost.
How far in advance are you able to complete the pre-screening questionnaire?
Okay, so that will be answered a lot in what Deshant will present, but essentially the pre-screening application has to be done within 72 hours before the date of travel. So not longer than 72 hours will they be allowed to complete the pre-screening authorization.
Okay, so with that being said, let's go ahead and take a break from your questions and pass it over to Deshant. And I believe Deshant is on with us. Deshant, are you there?
Yes, hi Alana, and hi, good afternoon, everybody on this call.
Okay, great, Deshant. I don't know if you've realized, or you may or may not have realized, there is a delay.
No. So, hi, Deshant. Will you be able to share your screen?
I'm going to go ahead and give Deshant control of the
Give me
screen.
1 second. Trying to, yeah. Sure, I'm going to share my screen now.
Okay, great.
Let me know when you can see my screen.
Now we can.
Can you see my screen now?
Yes, I can.
Great, okay. Awesome. And again, good afternoon. My name is Dushyant Savaria. I'm the founder and CEO of the Amber Group and the company behind the whole immigration and the management of the pandemic by the government of Jamaica. So we've wrote a lot of technology from health management to immigration to airport screening to So this is a lot of pieces of software come together, working in conjunction with each other to give our visitors and residents arriving a smooth experience. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Okay, so let me start with the landing page. So this is what you would see as soon as the site goes live in the next few hours. So the landing page, you have two questions here. Do you live in Jamaica? Yes or no? If you say yes, that you live in Jamaica, it will transit you out of this site into the Jam COVID-19 website, which is hosted by the Ministry of Health, and it is designed particularly for residents, because if there is a home quarantine, then we need further questions which are not necessarily the right line of questions for tourists. So there are two pathways at this point for residents and non-residents. So if you say you do not live in Jamaica and you say no, it carries on with Visit Jamaica website as is. And there is a little note here underneath of what this travel authorization is about. So if I say no, the first thing you will see is that it lands on the landing page. It is asking for the email address of the person. So this is where you start with first. And there are some step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. If somebody wants to know what happens in the entire process, that details is here. We are still updating it. We feel there are some additional points that we can add to help the visitors understand the process better. So at this point, when I put in my email ID, I click on this to send myself a one-time password that is then sent out to my email address. Because this is an application, so we don't want anybody to put anybody's email ID and then make an application. So we want a proper registration done. So your email address becomes your unique ID as a registration ID on the website. So as soon as you receive your one-time password on your email, you put that in here and verify. And what you can see here, that because I've made a lot of applications already, all my applications that have been approved in the past are listed here. Bear in mind, the application is applicable for one visit only. So if you come to Jamaica on a travel authorization, and if you leave and you want to come back again, you would need to reapply and have a new application for yourself. So because this is a test platform, I've been testing it myself for the last couple of days, going back and forth to check if everything is working. So you can see there are several applications on my name already, but these are all past applications. So I can choose to log out from here, or I can add a new application going forward. So it's a very simple step-to-step platform for getting your travel authorization. You have a choice here whether you are doing it for yourself or are you doing it for someone else. If I choose that I'm doing this application for someone else, it asks me, are you doing it for someone else who's a minor, someone who is disabled, or other reasons that you can actually type in your reason at the bottom as well. But let's say if it's a minor, then you're asked, what is your relationship with the minor? Your last name, first name, middle name if you have one, your address, and phone number. The reason why we ask these questions about you as an applicant on behalf of a minor or a disabled, because there is a consent behind this, and we need to know who is consenting on behalf of this minor or this disabled. So if I go back to yourself again, so let's see, we are applying it. I'm applying for myself. I'm going to put my name. Let me actually use a different name so it appears on this. So I'm going to say it is test last name, test first name, and then my intended date of travel. Now bear in mind what director was saying is that if you choose your intended day intended travel day more than 3 days, what it would do, the system, and I'm going to do it once for you to see. it's going to submit it, and it's going to say to you immediately that you must complete this within 72 hours of your arrival date, and you will receive an email reminder on your email reminding you to complete your registration at the appropriate time. So what the system will do, if you put that your intended date is 7 days later, as soon as you hit day 3, it will send you a reminder to come in and make your application. Day 2, if you've still not received your application, we'll send you another reminder. And if you've still not done it on day 1 of your travel or on the day of your travel, we'll send you another reminder. So there are 3 reminders back to back if you have not done your application once you have registered that you're going to travel on that day. So if I click OK, it will throw me back out to my registration page again. And now I've received a reminder. It's time for me to do my registration because I fall within the 72 hours period of doing the authorization. And by way of saying this, you can also do your travel authorization a minute before you're boarding the plane also. So there is no limit in terms of when you can do it, as long as you're doing it within 72 hours of your travel date. So I'm going to now, I'm going to change it to test and test. So it will stand out at the end. I've got too many on my name already. So I'm going to say test, and last name is also test. And then my intended date of travel, now I'm going to keep it in the next 72 hours. Let's say 13th of June, submit. The next thing is going to ask you the little details about you. Now, what I want to also mention here, which is important, is that all this information that you are submitting here, 90% of this is a mandatory information you would provide on the Customs and Immigration C5 card that you would write it when you arrive into Jamaica and hand it over to the immigration, or you would be currently doing it through the immigration website called enterjamaica.com. So in any case, what you're filling here, you have to provide most of this information to Enter Jamaica. So it's not taking you out of your normal process, but it's kind of a advanced screening with the health questions, which are in addition to all the other questions you are normally used to answering already. And then it's going to ask me for the home address. So I'm going to put my home address in Miami. Brickell Bay Drive. City town is Miami. State is Florida. Zip code is 33131. Country United States. And you can see all our top destinations of arrivals are listed as top 4 here already, and then you can search for your other countries below. So I'm going to choose United States. Then it asks me for my occupation. I'm a CEO. And then my passport number. So I can add my passport number here. And then the country of passport issue, again, United States. Country traveling from, United States. And then once I choose which country I'm traveling from, it is going to ask me what state I'm coming from and then what city I'm coming from also. So you may have a different address where you live, but you might be traveling from a different address or a different city also. And hence, we're not pre-populating this information. Then countries visited in the last 6 weeks, you would remember this is also in the immigration landing card in Jamaica you need to do. By default, we're populating United States because you're coming from there. But if I want to add more countries, let's say I've been to Canada also in the last 6 weeks, I can add as many countries as I want to right here. And then it's asking you family members with you. That means these are the family members you can add. Bear in mind, again, this is a part of your immigration also. But when you choose that you have additional family members traveling with you, a note pops up here to say, please note that a separate form must be completed for each traveler, including minors and infants. So every single person must have their own application. However, the way the system is designed, in one login of your email, you can add as many applications for yourself or for others also. There is no restriction. So if you are a family of 5, you can do all the applications under one email ID. All right, and then if I'm saying one family member, I'm going to say the family member's name is test2, test2, and then the date of birth of that family member is this, and then the passport number of that family member. The reason we collect the passport number is we identify all the travelers together, link them together in the backend for management purposes later, should they have any kind of a difficulty while they're in Jamaica. And the relationship, I'm going to say some. And then if you have further family members traveling with you, you can add as many as you want. Okay. You say okay here, and then so this piece is done, which is pretty simple. Very few questions around your information and your family members traveling with you. Okay, I missed out. Now you can see I missed out two things to answer here. It's marking as red that I have not filled up information around my date of birth and my gender. So both of these are now taken care of. And then I go next. And here's your health questionnaire. And I want you to pay a little more attention of how the health questionnaire is designed. So there is a scoring algorithm behind this. If certain answers get a yes in terms of your illness, then it's an automated decline. And if the answers are no, then there is an automated approval. Bear in mind, the entire process is an automated system now. That means if you satisfy all the conditions in terms of your health pre-screening health question, you're granted an automatic approval, which comes to you in 1 second as soon as you submit your application. And should there be a concern in your health that you have indicated in the form, and I'm going to mention to you now what are those conditions where the rejection is likely to happen, then both the rejection and approval are given to you within seconds of your submission of your application. So there is no waiting game, and that is why I said even you are 10 minutes out to board your flight, you can quickly do your application and you get an instant approval. So let's just run through these questions quickly. Do you have any symptoms of illness? If you say no, you are scored high, you will move on to the next question. If you say yes, now should you say yes and say you tick on any of these questions, history of fever, cough, sore throat, chest pain, it's an automatic denial of entry to Jamaica at that time, and you will be advised that you can come back and do your application again 14 days later, and the system will not allow you to apply on the same passport number for 14 days should you attempt to reapply within the 14 days period. However, if you choose this option called other symptoms, I'm going to untick these, and if I choose this option called other symptoms and type in I have headache, right? This will not be subjected to a denial of any kind. However, it will mark this person on the nurses screening tablets at the airport, where they will identify these specific people who may be of persons of interest to do a better assessment of those people who may potentially be on a higher risk, given that they have opted in with some of the questions which poses some concern. However, if you say no, you move on. Then the second question is, so just to recap, if you say yes to illness and say yes to any of the first 6, you are an automatic denial. If you're a no, you're good to go in the scoring to the next question. Have you been tested for COVID-19? If you say yes, there is no consequence to your application. So you are then asked, when were you tested, which country and which city were you tested? And if the result of the test confirmed that you had COVID-19, if you say no, no problems, you move on to the next question. You are in the approval list already. But if you say yes, then the next question pops up, have you recovered and have retested? If you say no, that you have not recovered, then you are into an immediate denial. But if you say yes, you have recovered and you have been retested, then you have the date of where you got retested, the country and city where you got retested, and if the result of the retest confirm that you no longer have COVID-19. If you say yes, that the retest confirms that you no longer have COVID-19, you're good to go, your application is not adversely affected. But if you say no, that the retest has not confirmed you have COVID-19, that means you still have COVID-19, there is a straight denial also. Okay, so I'm going to close this and say no for now. And then, have you been in a healthcare facility that cares for persons with COVID-19, yes or no? So you can choose to say yes or no. Again, question number 3, 4, and 5 has no adverse impact on your application for denial. However, you will be tagged as a better assessment of yours at the airport by the nurses. Did you provide care for patients with COVID-19 within the last 14 days? Yes or no? Again, there's no consequence to the application. Have you knowingly been in contact or close proximity with anyone confirmed to have COVID-19 or suspected to have COVID-19? Yes or no? Again, question number 3, 4, and 5 is not a denial, but a flag to be screened a little more in depth at the airport. Question number 1 and 2 has a consequence. If you have illnesses except other symptoms, you do not get a denial. And all the other ones that we spoke about, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all of them would be a straight denial. And then if you've been tested for COVID-19 and you still say you've got it or you've not recovered from it, it's a straight denial as well. So once you've answered the health status, you can see it is also counting down. So you are number 4 of 6 in total. So at this point, we're asking you your purpose of visit. What are you coming here for? You could either be for vacation, visiting friends and relatives, business and meeting, in transit, honeymoon, or other. If you choose vacation or visiting friends and business and so these first two ones, it will take you through a normal consent, which is tourism related. If you choose business and meeting, then the consent and the certificate changes because the order around business and meeting visits, which are less than 14 days, are different. So let's say in this case, I'm going to choose vacation. I'm going to put my length of stay, which is 12 days.
It's 3 o'clock.
Select the type of accommodation. Where am I staying? Am I staying at a hotel, at a villa, or a private home? So if I choose a hotel, great. I can now put in my hotel name. Let's say I'm going to put Sandals. My street address, I may not know, so I'm going to say Montego Bay, Sandals. And same town and district, I might just put Montego Bay because that's the details I have. Parish, you would put which parish it is in. St. Anne, and then you would type in here, please re-enter your address. So if I just put Sandals here, it populates all the Sandals hotels. You can literally any Airbnb hotels in Jamaica, you can find them very quickly. You put your hotel venue, where you're going on the map. The reason we pinpoint it on the map because then we get the lat long of exactly the location where you're staying. And that allows the pandemic management solution for the Ministry of Health to manage the operations much more better, seeing the density of cohorts of people where they are more in density of populations. It allows them operationally to be much more better. Go next. We are at 5 out of 6. This is your consent, travel cost, medical screening, testing, quarantine, governing laws, and declaration that you are furnishing this with the best of your knowledge. And if you falsify information, it's an offense and shall be liable to a fine up to 1 million Jamaican dollars or imprisonment of 12 months. So moment you consent and go next, this is your final step, which is your immigration card, which everybody fills. Now, what you would notice that everything is auto-populated for you. So you have to do nothing at all when it comes to the immigration card, except it is already showing you in red the bits that you still have to do because we've not collected this data from you in advance. So I'm going to say from where I'm coming. Let's say I'm going to put American Airlines. I'm going to put 1286, 1285 as my flight. And I'm going to say how many pieces of luggage I have. Again, these questions are for the customs. I'm going to put my luggage. And then these are again customs questions that we are used to across the world. If you're bringing plants and foods, pharmaceuticals and chemicals, drugs and narcotics, radioactive and nuclear substances, arms and emanations, monetary instrument about over 10,000 US, exceeding personal duties, and gifts or articles for resale. And then you will see that spouse and children under 18 accompanying you. It is already pre-populated because I provided this information ahead of the application. And then the description of articles, and if you have anything to declare, this is where you declare. It is not mandatory if you have nothing to declare and you're not bringing anything into the country. You can skip this part and then you do a final declaration for the customs and the immigration, and you submit, and you will see a pop-up immediately saying that your travel authorization has been submitted and your submission will be processed immediately and the outcome will be sent to your registered email address, and here's your application reference for your future reference. And now you will see here the application reference is generated, and this application reference follows this person on arrival for the airport screening, in the labs if they have to get tested, and then also the test results also are linked back to the same. So there is a single point of truth for the traveler from the time they apply, they come to the airport, they go into the health screening at the airport, they go for the testing, and they return to their hotels and they leave. So everything is connected to a single application, 7NNS. You can see right at the bottom, this is the one we just created called test. 7NNS was the 4 letters it started with. It is already approved instantly, and I can also download and view my travel authorization certificate, which also comes with a QR code. So to make it fast at the airports, the tablets would actually scan their QR code and they would have the case history of this person pre-arrival. And then on the tablet, the nurses will record the temperature, if there are any observations, and they quickly get through the screening process at the airport also, because it is extremely well digitized end-to-end in Jamaica to reduce the time at the airport. So you will see immediately you have your consent, and you also can print directly from here and print it out, or the airline would actually see your travel authorization on paper, or you can present them on your phone also. Bear in mind, there is a mobile view for for mobile phones. We've also created a mobile web view, so you can do an entire application through your mobile phone's web browser. We've also built the coding is done for us to integrate this into Visit Jamaica app also when that is launched. So you have 3 ways to apply on the mobile app when the app is released by Visit Jamaica: a mobile web browser or a computer web browser. You have all the 3 ways to do this. So this travel certificate is what the airline would have to receive to see physically at the check-in desk to let you board the flight. Now, I want to just add here, because this is a question that will arise. We have sent the order of the government to IATA now today. That means IATA will now update thematic, which is the travel information management system, which is used by all the airlines and travel agents globally. So when the agent is on the airline desk at the airport, the thematic is what tells them what the passenger must carry to be able to board to visit that country. So when the passenger comes to the airport check-in desk, the agent, based on the thematic update that we are going through now, and hopefully it will be done in a very short order, the airport agent will ask this person for this authorization certificate. Should the authorization certificate not be available with the traveler, the airline will not board them at that point, but they can immediately jump online and create an application. Instantly, the application is given the approval if everything checks out with their health scoring, and they can then present it and carry on. So that's pretty much it on my side. Director Donovan, I'll hand it back to you.
Thanks, Deshant. Thanks for that excellent presentation as always. I will turn over back to our moderator, Ms. Faustin, to take us through the rest of the time we have left on this webinar.
Thank you, Director, and thank you, Deshant. Quite a lot of information. We do have a couple of questions for you. What if a client makes a mistake? Let's say you put something incorrectly and it kicks you out, or it becomes that automatic denial. Are you able to go back and either correct your mistake or to fill out a new form? Or once you have made that mistake, you're denied? Is that?
Deshant, you want to take that one?
Yes, I can. Thank you, Director. So the answer is yes. If the person has made a mistake and as a subject to that mistake, it's a denial, then there is an appeal process. They would send an email to support-jancovid19@mos.gov.jm with their application ID and passport number, request the change, and it will be at that point up to Ministry of Health to review manually. And the setup on the back end is such that even if an application is denied, it can be, they have a manual override on the back end and still go ahead and approve that process. Perhaps there might be a phone interview with that person trying to understand why they made the mistake or if it is a mistake, but that would be at the discretion of the Ministry of Health at that point.
What happens if within, thank you. What happens within, let's say you fill out the form 72 hours before and you did your own test within that time and you realize, you know, situation has changed?
If the situation is changed, then in good faith, we would expect the passenger not to board and put the plane at risk, airline at risk, and also citizens in Jamaica at risk and other tourism related travelers we have in the country. So we expect people to take their own responsibility and not travel at that point. But unfortunately, if they do travel and if they do not have symptoms, they would be arriving here regardless. And if at the airport screening, they're identified with the screening, at the screening that they do have some kind of symptoms and they need to be isolated, they would be isolated straight away and then gone through testing and then quarantine.
Okay. And does this pre-screening form, seeing that it has the immigration information in it, does this now eliminate what is there at enterjamaica.com? Is this now a combined document?
Say that again, I missed some part of it.
The questionnaire, the pre-screening questionnaire that you just went through with us, it also has from the immigration form that's available at enterjamaica.com.
Right. So
does that now mean that you do not have to do the form at enterjamaica.com?
That is correct.
That is correct.
That is correct. So we are now in the process of integrating the C5 form with Immigration and Customs both. So as soon as we receive it, the data will go into their systems instantly. That means on arrival, you will not need to do it. And as soon as they, at the immigration in Jamaica, when they scan their passport, it will upload everything on their or on the computers of the immigration officers. All the data already will be there.
Okay. And regarding assistance with filling out the form, is there a help? Is there either an email or a phone number to call with questions or concerns or assistance filling out the forms?
There is currently a call center in place already. We have United States toll-free, United Kingdom toll-free, Canada toll-free, and Jamaica toll-free already. You can call on those numbers for assistance, or you can email for assistance also.
Okay. And for any reason you have forgotten your form, you printed it out, you left it at home, how is the airline going to handle a client that comes to check in and does not have this form?
So bear in mind, you need that email, because you can log in from anybody's phone, anybody's computer, go into the visitjamaica.com website, log into your account and download the certificate on your phone instantly. But the onus is on the passenger. It's almost like saying, I forgot my passport at home, can you please let me board? So travelers must have their phones on them and have the authorization certificate on their phones in some form or way.
Okay.
Even a screen.
Would they be able to do it on the spot at check-in? They get to the
Absolutely.
Okay.
So the process is pretty simple. Let's say I forgot my paper at home. I'm at the airport. I simply open my phone browser, go to visitjamaica.com, log in using my email. I get an OTP. I put that 6-digit one-time password. I log in, and I will immediately see my approved status and a blue button there to download the certificate on my phone.
The response that you get from filling out the form, is it immediate?
Absolutely instant, 1 second.
Okay, so I guess the question is, let's say for some reason you completely did not know about this form, you get to the airport and your ticket agent is asking you for this form, you can still then go onto your phone and do this process before you fly.
Absolutely. The idea is to facilitate, make it as easy as possible for travelers to come, at the same time protect Jamaica from any more spread. So it's a very easy to use, simple, efficient, fast system, and we even removed all the manual approvals, so people get the approval in a second.
Okay. Regarding Director, and this is probably geared more towards you, traveling on a Jamaican passport as opposed to a U.S. passport. A lot of our travelers are Jamaican citizens but hold U.S. residency or have dual citizenship. How do you suggest they choose one or the other?
That is entirely their choice. If you're Jamaican traveling on a Jamaican passport, but you are not resident, or you're not a resident of Jamaica, which means that you won't be able to provide a Jamaican address, then you are going to be treated. You're going to be sent down the path of the visitor pre-approval path. So you can end up as a visitor traveling on a Jamaican passport. So it's entirely up to the traveler's choice as to which of their passports they use.
Okay. And as far as the actual pre-screening form, when will it be live?
We are working to have it. I know Deshant and his team is still doing a few cleaning up and just to make sure that we have checked all the boxes and make sure everything works properly. We are hoping to have it live by the latest midnight tonight. Am I correct, Deshant?
Yes, Director, that's the plan. We are going through the final last-minute cosmetic changes now. So in the next few hours, we should be going live.
Okay, and I have a question regarding masks. Where, if you can give us the cliff notes of where would you require a mask? Is it the lobby, on the beach, on the pool deck? Where would you say are the must-haves for a mask, and when not so much?
Masks are required for use in public spaces in Jamaica generally. We expect that both visitors and our hotel workers or tourism workers will wear their masks once they're in the presence of someone else. Obviously, places where we least expect that you would probably be wanting to wear a mask is if you go for a swim. Obviously, you can't wear a mask and go for swimming. Or if you're alone on the beaches, all the furniture, all the pool furniture is already spaced more than 6 feet apart. So if you are, enjoying a nice afternoon out in the sun, taking a tan, we don't expect you to be wearing a mask, taking a tan. So we expect people to use their discretion, but at the same time recognize that the virus still exists, and it is a touch-based virus. So if you touch it or if you have reason to come in contact with it, with the droplets of it, and it ends up in your face, it could contaminate you. So we ask people to be responsible, understand the challenges that it presents, but at the same time, there are travelers who want to enjoy their vacation and go off on their vacation, but we ask that you observe the safety precautions for yourself as well as for all the other persons around you.
Okay, I'm actually going to make that my last question. Thank you so much, Deshant. Thank you, Director, for the information that was shared today. You can find it at jtbonline.org. Following this presentation, within, I would say, about 3 hours, you will get the recording of this webinar. Unfortunately, we had a max of 1,001. We way exceeded that, but you will have as long as you registered for this webinar, you will have a recording of it. So again, thank you very much. If you have any further questions, feel free to email me at afaustin@visitjamaica.com. And thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Director. Thank you, Deshant, and have a great weekend.
Thank you, everyone. And
thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Alana, for putting this together. And have a great weekend all. Enjoy yourselves.
Thank you.